Welcome back. I'm Dan.
I'm James.
This is episode 83 of the Cornwall Property Podcast, and this is our Ask Dan and James episode. And do stick around because at the end of this episode, we've got two questions that we're going to answer, but we've then got our next wow
Exciting.
of the week. It's currently 3-2 to James. It pains me to say, so hopefully I can pull it back. So James, let's get going.
Let's get going. So we got our first question from Piran in Portreath, who asked the following. I'm aware that there are creative property strategies that people can adopt, such as rent-to-rent and sourcing, as you mentioned in a previous podcast. I'm intrigued by the lease option strategy. What exactly is this, and how do I identify a possible lease option opportunity? Good question.
Very good question. Piran, yes. So this is kind of like the holy grail. The amount of times I'm asked this question. So I've got 3 lease option properties. So a lease option essentially, I've got purchase lease options. So a lease is like a commercial lease where you're taking over property. It's kind of like a full repair and insurance lease. So essentially the property is all but yours. Like that's generally what a commercial lease is. When you take out a commercial lease, the property is essentially all but yours. Now, with a purchase lease option, essentially what you're doing there is you're leasing the property for a set agreed amount of time, but you then at the end of that lease have the option to purchase the property. So for example, the properties that I have purchase lease options on, they were both on the market for sale and they were on the market for rent. So interestingly, it meant that when I started doing a bit of digging, it's so important you get that rapport with the owner and just say, look, just learn a little bit more about their situation, their circumstances. So for example, my first purchase lease option property, it was a HMO in Falmouth. The landlord had it on for sale, and I just discussed this. What if you don't mind me asking, what's your plan with the money? If you were to sell, what are you going to do with the money? And he was just saying, well, I'm not too sure. I'm finding it a pain in the backside. Having the HMO, I think I'll probably just go and invest it and get a holiday let. I was like, okay, interesting, no worries at all. So look, if this property wasn't a pain in your backside, would you still be prepared to keep going with it? He goes, well, yeah, it makes me good money. It's just all the extra stuff that's really getting on my back. Yeah. So I could see that he didn't need the money. So he wasn't selling it because he needed the money. It was because he had a pain, which was the agents and the actual managing agent of it. So what I then suggested was, look, how about I take over the management of the property for you? I guarantee your rent for 5 years. But at the end of the 5 years, I'll also agree to buy it from you. The beauty of that is you've got rents coming in guaranteed for 5 years. At the end of the 5 years, you've got a guaranteed sale. So what I'm not saying is that I'm going to buy it in 5 years. I have the option to buy it anytime up to 5 years, essentially. But the beauty of it is this figure I was giving him, it was recently valued at the time of this agreement of about 270. Mm-hmm. I offered to pay, look, in 5 years' time, I'll offer you 280. So in 5 years, I'll buy this property from you at £280,000. In the meantime, you're also going to get every bit of rent every single month. So you'll get, say, £1,500 a month because it's a HMO. That's quite a good deal in his eyes. So he was like, well, wow, I'm going to be getting continual rent. I'm not going to have to take over all the maintenance because it's leased, because of the leases, unless it is the kind of roof falling through. It's an actual fabric issue. I take over the bills and the management internally. So a lease option, how do you identify it? It's essentially, if there's motivated, it's up for rent and for sale. If there's any properties up for rent and for sale, definitely know that's for me is an alarm saying that is an opportunity for a lease option there. And the key to getting these over the line, Piran, is simply finding out what the landlord wants. What do they need? And I simply solved the problem of management was paying the backside. Well, look, I'll manage it. No worries at all. I'll take over the maintenance. No problems at all. I'll also purchase the property. I'll give you a little bit more than what you want because I'm basically hedging my bet that in the 5 years' time, it will be gone up in value. This particular property I'm talking about, I took on this purchase lease option 4 years ago. At that value I've just told you, it's been valued recently at £335,000. Wow. So already, I know I've already made my margin in there. And in the meantime, I've actually been making a little bit of money each month off the property too. So it's a bit of a win-win there. I may not want to buy it at the end of something drastic might happen to the market. And I think, you know what? I'm not in the right place to buy this now, but I have the option to buy it at the end of it. I'd be silly not to, and I've agreed to buy a £235,000 house for £280,000, and it's all contractually drawn up. It's all done by the solicitors. It's so important you do it right. But hopefully that helps. I'm sure, again, Piran's got so many more questions to throw at me at the back of that, and others maybe, but please do. But a lease option is a great way of getting hold of a property and securing you an asset longer term at a great price.
I think it's incredible. I think it's one of the best kind of like beginning entry levels because it's just such a big win-win. I'm the landlord. I'm James. Dan is the person who's going to do the lease purchase option. I'm hands off. I got rent guaranteed for 5 years. Thank you very much. And I've got a good chance it's going to be sold. And if Dan doesn't want to buy it at the end, well, I can just get it at today's market, so I win either way.
Exactly.
You're set up. You got your cash flow, and you got a great deal for 5 years. I think it's beautiful. It's amazing.
That's it. Well, hopefully that helps, Piran. Next question, James. Last question before our wow of the week. We've got is from Selby, who lives in Helston. And Selby's question is, I'm looking to do a JV with somebody that I know fairly well. Would you say it is important to have official JV agreements, or, as we know each other fairly well, can we just crack on?
Very good question there, Selby, and it's quite a straightforward one. So for our viewers and listeners who don't know what a JV is, it is a joint venture. So, for example, Dan might be the property developer. James, I might be the one with the money, not always, but Dan will say, I'm going to buy this property. I found a deal. I'm going to do the whole development, and then we're going to sell it using James's money for both the buy and the renovation. And then we're going to split the profit 50-50. So Dan does all the dog work with the development and the delivery of it. And I just put up all the money, and, effectively there's a lot of risk in it for me as well. It doesn't matter how well you know anybody. As Dan has just said in his question, with the purchase lease option, I think you need to put a solicitor in place and do a proper contractual agreement. Just there is no murky water, and we're property developers. It's just doing things professionally. So 100%, I think you should get a contract written up. Definitely. Absolutely, just to protect. And just for our viewers and listeners, Dan and I, we're in business. We've got a property development company, and we even have shareholders agreements. I trust Dan explicitly with my life, as I'm sure he does me, but that doesn't make a difference. You still get things done properly in the unlikely event of what is the contingency that kicks in. Definitely. And it's black and white with our signatures on it.
And as obviously saying, it's quite timely because James is getting married next week, but you don't enter a marriage thinking about a divorce, do you? You don't think about that. So it's so important to just cover your exits with everything. It's
what are you saying, Dan?
No, not at all. I wish you a very long and happy marriage, but again, know what there's divorces is. I think it's like 2 in 1 get divorced these days. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, no. But they don't get married with that in mind. So again, you don't enter this JV agreement, this opportunity with the idea of it going wrong. Of course, you don't. You wouldn't be doing it if you did. But it's so important to cover your exits and make sure that all the kind of options, and if X situation was to arise, well, we've agreed that the outcome will be Z. Yeah. So just get it out on the open from day one, and I think it's just so much more transparent for everybody because everyone knows where they are.
Absolutely, and you covered it. I don't want to sound too morbid, but if Dan and I were in a JV agreement and something happened to me, God forbid, Dan, your whole development could just be frozen because you haven't got something in writing with us. We haven't got an agreement in place. So what would happen then? So, you may trust each other, but eventualities. That's what I'll say.
Hopefully that helps, and wish you all the very, very best with that development, Selby, as well.
Big time.
So, wow time. Oh. I'm actually a little bit nervous because I don't like...
You should be.
I should be. All right. I'm currently 2-1 down. I'm just reaching for my piece of...
2-1 down. I think James is 3-2 up.
Yeah. Sorry. I was 2-1 up and now I'm 3-2 down.
But let's just bring you back down.
That's it. Easy now. So, Spinks, you've picked a property for us. We have got to guess the value.
You have indeed. So this is our wow of the week. I've gone to a region you're a little bit more familiar with this for this one. So we're in Truro this time.
Where's that?
4-bedroom, 2 bathrooms, fully detached house. I'll give you a little bit of a clue in its location. It's within walking distance of the town centre. So I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock. You may open up the link.
See, James is on our business. James does the property sourcing side of things. James is
just
in with the agents. He's online all the time. I'd expect you to know exactly what this property is. If it's not, we need to our words. 4-bed, 2 bath. What can we see? Lovely family home. It just screams out family home. It's a beautiful. It's an old looking property. It's got some lovely gardens.
First time to the market in 25 years, apparently, according to the listing.
Yeah, it's quite big.
Modern. It's quite modern inside, isn't it, James? The living room.
It's very up together. Not much work.
Nothing kind of screaming out as unordinary. Just plain sort of. Please don't pin me down if you're the seller. It's not plain, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it's nothing screams out as wowie, but it's still a lovely size. I think you're paying for the size here. You say location is pretty walking distance from centre of Truro, is it?
Just up from Trafalgar roundabout, roughly.
Okay. Yeah, biggest asset I would say here is its garden. Being city centre, you don't normally get big.
It's got 5 seconds left.
Yeah, keep scrolling down. Nice bathrooms, lovely garden.
That's your minute. That's your 60 seconds up.
Bit of everything in that garden, hasn't it? You've got decking area, you've got grassy areas, nice private drive.
Garage.
it's a nice little bit of curb appeal as well, isn't it? It's got a nice property. Again, if you're viewing this, you can watch this in real time on YouTube. If you're listening, there'll be a link in the show notes to this property.
So I know the last one was a phenomenal wow. I do like to get a couple of sides of the same spectrum here. So it's still a lovely property in a favourable location.
I'm surprised by the lack of bathrooms, actually. It's only got 2, isn't it?
Yeah, only 2 bathrooms.
Four bed. It's a big old lump, that is, actually. Bit of Mundic in there or not? Okay,
all to play for in this one. All to play for
I'm
still.
a bit nervy. This is our neck of the woods as well. I'm trying to think what's on that market up that road.
It's tricky.
It's only 4 bed though, isn't it? It's only 4 bed, 2 bath. It's nothing. It's not like it's on Falmouth Road or on Lemon Villas.
Doing it again. I'm changing.
Oh, if I rattle on you, do I need to keep talking?
You're playing mind games now. Eh?
Oh, it's not like it's on Malpas, is it? Like overlooking the estuary. It's nothing too special, James, this one.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of a view with it, but it does seem very
so
secluded.
private. It's very private. It is lovely. There's a lot of green there. And for someone with a family who are into it, this is, great. What would I pay for it? What would we pay for that? I don't know.
Can hear those pens scribbling away.
There's a lot of zeros I can hear you for.
All right, we both got a number?
I've got a number.
Okay, let's have a look in 3, 2, 1.
Oh! That was going to be my guess. That was honestly,
James,
I've
committed. What have you gone for?
I've gone bang on $1 million.
Bang on $1 million.
But I was going to go 950.
I've got 950.
Honestly,
50 grand in it. 50 grand in it.
Come on, anything over $1 million, I'm screwed here. I'm like, you can't. Why have you gone for $1 million?
Just because of that garden. You don't get that city centre. You don't.
No,
I don't think it's nice, but it's not absolutely. That kitchen, first glance, looks really nice. It's actually quite dated.
Bathroom. I think everything would need to be updated, which is what I think devalues it a little bit. You're literally paying for the size.
James gets so excited. He's back on his feet again.
I do. I like the
on his
but I
feet.
think Dan's got it. I'm going back on the 9.
Click that link.
I've committed.
My leg's going now. I can't sit still.
Come on.
Click that link.
Oh, it's on my lily crap and it's on for
He's absolutely smashed
Bang
him.
on the money. I don't know if we need to.
£1 million.
Oh, it was literally. We could have been. There.
Livid.
I don't know if we need to change the scoring system if you get it bang on the nose here.
Stick it at a point.
I'm super happy with that.
Oh,
wow,
gutted, because I was floating around $1 million. I thought, no, it's just looks too big.
See, I like chucking these ones in every so often because it's a little bit more
interesting staircase. You didn't chuck that. I'm surprised.
I tried to, and just to give everyone else a little bit more context. So most of the listings come with about 20 plus photos, and the guys only get 10 maybe at the top, depending on how generous I'm feeling on the day.
No, this looks a lot nicer. I would have probably gone higher now if I saw all these photos. To be fair,
Excuses.
not 50 grand higher. But full table games room. You didn't show us the games room.
Now we're talking. That would have got your attention.
Yeah. Oh, well done. Good work, James.
Well done.
Very good.
Bang on
Shake
the
your
money.
hand there, sir.
Solid 4-2 on you now. You're gutted.
Lovely.
Well, let us know your scores. What did you get? What was your price? What was your value? James here is like a Cheshire cat opposite me with his big white pearly
actually got
grins.
cramp in
You
my
got cramp in
face.
your cheeks. Have you? Karma, that is. Guys, please do let us know your thoughts. What did you value this one at? It was up for $1 million. James got it bang on. I went 950. Where were your numbers? Please do comment on the on the episode. I can't even get my words out.
He's on the floor.
He's on the floor. Anyway, guys, so goodbye from me.
Bye from me.